What's up guys, it's Dem Apples here, back with another video. Hope you all are doing well. And in this video, we're going to see how to beat 1d4. Now, this usually has the reputation of being the most solid opening ever. Queen's Gambit, Queen's Gambit declined, or like the Slav. These are all like really solid openings, and to be quite frank, very, very boring. How do we bring some life into these openings and beat these people? Like, at first you might think, oh, it's the King's Indian defense, you go here, you go here, you go here, and after here, and all this stuff, black gets a big attack, and, you just win. Get the point. The King's Indian attack is where you launch f5 and go for a kingside attack. However, this usually doesn't work out. There are many moves here now, and I think quite a trendy and very, very good option for white is h3, and then you're busted. So it's better to play something that your opponent won't know, such as the Budapest Gambit. Let's take a look at this. After c4, we go pawn to e5, sacrificing the pawn. Now, white has two choices here, usually. He either opts to take the pawn, or he advances his pawn, gaining space. Let's take a look at the latter. So if white just declines our free pawn, we will go bishop check here, and this is quite annoying for white, because when he moved his pawn up here, he lost control of some of the dark squares. And so, usually he blocks, and now we play this very nice move, pawn to a5. And most people here, in my experience, will take your bishop, as your bishop is in white's half of the board, and it's being quite annoying. Of course, white could force it out like this, and after something like this. Black is doing very well, because he has a very good version of a King's Indian. Now, you might say, like, oh, the King's Indian was bad. Yeah, but in this, it's hard to explain, but in this case, yeah, white has no play. White has no play. The entire center is shut down, pretty much. Black's going to stick a knight on c5. He's gonna launch the pawn to f5, get a kingside attack. He's gonna say, what you gonna do, you know? And the reason why we play pawn to a5 here is because most people take. And now this is an even better version, right? We'll have an even better King's Indian attack. Not only will we have a chance to get an attack on the king side, we also have pressure on the queen side with this open rook. Open file for our rook. So this is very nice. After c4, e5, most people will take your free pawn and say, ha, what you gonna do, right? We're going to go knight e4 here. Now, knight g4 is also a very viable option, which I have played, but knight e4 I find to be much trickier. Knight f3 is the usual response. Let's take a look at a few alternatives. You might see, at lower level chess, you might see f3, which, believe it or not, like, it looks like it kicks away the knight, and okay, the guy's like, oh, I'm gonna trap your knight, or something, I don't know. Or at least your knight's gonna look stupid. Well, this practically loses the game on the spot. After bishop to b4 check, a very nice in-between move, white has a couple options, and his best move is to cut his losses short. And after takes, black is up some material, and yeah, white is very sad. Also, it's worth noting that the extra pawn white has is a double pawn, so it's not very effective. After this, most people will actually go bishop d2, or like knight d2 or something. It doesn't matter at all. And after queen h4 check, oops, they have to block with the pawn. And after knight takes, they're either losing the rook or like even more. So they usually cut their losses and end the game right here. This is a very, very nice checkmate. Aided in the fact that the king is smothered by his own knight that we forced there with our check here. So another option that people do is a pretty decent one, I would say. And it's that they force the knight out right away. And I don't think this is bad for black at all. And it's not bad for white, but it's like, you're boring. It's alright though. We'll just get an equal position. or we can throw some fire into it still. So say we go here, pinning the knight, and they're like, no, 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 I want to exchange, I want to be boring. Okay, we'll exchange though. But see, look, white has an extra pawn. It's not very effective, but we've already castled. We have our knight developed, and rook's going to go here and win back our pawn. So we're doing fine here. After knight f3, we can sacrifice all the pawns in the world. And for queen c7, we have a very, very nice position with a lot of open lines. Yes, it's a little bit better for white for the engine, but like practically speaking, like this bishop is coming out, so is this rook, so is this rook. Like the king and queen are here. I don't know if you realize that, but if the rooks get on the E and D files, there's a very nice prize at the end. So this looks pretty good, practically speaking, for black. Of course, there are safer lines, but I like this one. Another option that you might see is queen to d4, attacking the knight, trying to force it out right away. Again, as usual, we will give a check on b4. This is very convenient a lot of the times. And after knight c3, we can trade and attack their queen first and foremost. Danger levels, as some may say. You know, bishop's hanging, but so is his queen. After the queen moves, we can go here. And look at these pawns. They're kind of sad. Look at this pawn. It's also kind of sad in double. We have lots of development, and we're about to castle. I don't see how white's better here. He's just not. And we're going to win back the pawn anyways, and then we're probably going to win more pawns and checkmate him. Alright, so knight f3 is the main move here. Knight c6, e3. Usually, this is what people will play. There are some pretty nice moves. If white tries to get out his bishop first, we can play stuff like g5, and after bishop g3, we can go h5 and trap their bishop. So this is pretty nice for black, believe it or not. E3, d6, and usually white takes because we're threatening to win back the pawn. And if we win this pawn back, black will actually be a bit better, because now white's bishop is simply locked behind its pawn. So takes, and you might realize after every time we go d6, we are opening up more lines for our pieces and getting farther and farther ahead in development. Let's take a look at a couple moves. The main move here is bishop d3, and it looks really logical, right? White is going to castle, and he's going to attack this. However, this kind of fails. After bishop b4, black is already a decent amount better, because how are you going to protect this bishop, you know? And the truth is, you have to move your king, because, for example, if you block with the bishop, you lose your other bishop, right? And so here's a very funny line that I saw. King e2, you know, king f1 is also possible. Queen e7, protecting the knight. Knight d2, takes, bishop g4, pinning this knight. h3, and now knight to d4, taking advantage of, like, practically a double pin, right? Everything is pinned here. And if white takes the free knight, we have knight to g3. Very nice double discovered, check, and mate, because king f1 is not possible. So, this is a very nice, funny line. Of course, none of this is forced, but black is just better after white has to move the king. So, the correct move is the more passive bishop e2, but black is doing quite well. After bishop f5, black isn't going to castle kingside. He's going long. So after castles queen f6, black has all his pieces out. And then he's going to castle. And then this rook is going to be eyeing the queen again. White's in a really, really tough spot here. And doesn't have many clear moves. For example, after rook e1, castles, it doesn't matter that black is already threatening crazy stuff. I mean, if white plays a nothing move, which I guess does something, he wants to create some sort of attack, he already loses. Bishop h2, discovered attack on the queen, and we just win the queen, straight up. And if white realizes this and tries not to fall for it, he's like, oh, I'm so smart, castles, queen a4, I'm getting out of this. No, you aren't. Knight c5 comes around, attacking the queen, and now the queen has to go back to d1, unfortunately, because if it doesn't, it still gets trapped. Queen is out of squares, out of luck, out of room. So the queen has to go back, and then we still have this tactic. Now, that isn't to say that this tactic will work all the time, but even without this kind of tactic, which it will always be there, we have a very, very nice attack because look at all our pieces. They're just pointing towards the enemy king. What does white have? Like, I don't think these pieces are very imposing. So we have tons of development and tons of compensation in these lines. And you sacrifice a pawn, but you get a very fun game where only one guy is having fun, to be honest, and playing for the win. And that's why you should play the Budapest Gambit. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.